Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Noble7 and welcome to the very first video on my channel. Now, my channel is going to be dedicated to Cyberpunk 2077 because I'm quite excited and I can't keep all the excitement stored up in this brain. Not for too long anyway. So yeah, I'm going to just make videos on Cyberpunk and it's going to be an amazing time. But jumping straight into this. This video is going to be looking at a certain bit of gameplay from one of the most recent gameplay demos, let's call it, that was released, and it's a specific fight between these two twins that aren't really twins. They're one person, but it's not about the story. We're focusing on the gameplay specifically in this video. I'll get into the story and all of the visuals and all that in another video, but the reason I wanted to make this video was because in the comments and just online in general, even some of my friends, I've seen them saying, well, this doesn't look as good as I was expecting, it looks bad, almost looks like a PlayStation 2 game. It just doesn't look like the type of game that we were expecting from this hyped up next generation game. Now, I understand where these people are coming from, don't get me wrong. Maybe this is the first video of Cyberpunk they've watched, and all they've heard about is it's going to be an amazing game. It's coming from the people that made The Witcher 3. It's going to be the greatest game ever. I feel like a lot of people have been putting that opinion out there on every platform available. So for someone who's only just tuning into Cyberpunk, seeing this, they might be taken back a bit, thinking, oh, well, this isn't as good as I was expecting. And I can understand that opinion, because when I first watched this trailer, and in specific this fight, I was like, oh wow, this does look a bit shoddy, it doesn't look too great. But then you have to take a step back and you have to remember, this isn't Mortal Kombat, this isn't a fighting game, it's not Call of Duty, it's not a first person shooter. You're not buying this game for its mechanics and for its combat. You're buying it because it's an RPG, a role playing game. You're buying it for the branching narratives, for the amazing characters, for all the amazing settings and scenery that you're going to be able to see. And that's what CG Projekt Red became known for the Witcher series. Not for the amazing combat and the amazing mechanics, but the amazing branching narratives and the amazing characters and storytelling that they managed to incorporate into the game. So while I do agree that this fight isn't the most amazing thing I've ever seen, there's a few glitches, there's a few just not really a fighting feeling. It feels more like a Wii Sports boxing than it does a AAA game. But what you got to understand is it's not, I'm not trying to say it's filler content, but you're not loading up Cyberpunk to come and fight people. You're loading up Cyberpunk to experience the amazing story. Just for an example, there's 3 ways you can start off the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just going off the top of my head here. It's Nomad, Street Kid and Corporate, I think. It's along the lines of them, but that's already, when you've bought the game, that's 3 different ways you can play. So that's 3 playthroughs already. So you've got to understand that that's what this game is. So if you're coming to this game thinking, oh, I'm going to get an amazing like GTA, or I'm going to get like a first person GTA or a Call of Duty in a Cyberpunk universe or whatever, that's not what this game is about. This game is going to be very much about the storytelling and the characters. Now that's not to say that the gameplay is going to be terrible. This is all we've seen of it, obviously. They could improve it by then. But don't come into this game only for the combat. I think that that's what you should start off with. That's the outlook you should have when you're coming into this game. And a little side note, I thought this was very interesting. You can see throughout the Cyberpunk gameplay that we've seen throughout the years, or past year or so, it's had this text at the top that says, obviously, work in progress. This doesn't represent the look of the final game. Now, most games have this when they release gameplay, and I just found it funny how people reacted to this in the comments, because going back in time, looking at all the games that have been disappointments, like Watch Dogs, No Man's Sky, they've probably had this same exact text at the top. Now for them, that meant we've really made our gameplay look too good. We've coded this specific level, running on high-end PCs, and specifically for No Man's Sky, they made a specific planet, made it all look good, and released it, said this isn't the final gameplay look, and what we got was a lot worse. And I feel like that's what a lot of game companies do. Very, very dodgy practice, but they make something that looks really good, say, oh, this isn't how the product's going to look for legal reasons, and then we get something that looks a lot worse. But for Cyberpunk 2077, I believe that they've put this because it's going to improve, and you don't see that much from game developers, because in this you can see glitches in this gameplay, you can see things that aren't quite right, like animations look a bit dodgy, some of them are like, there's a bit where one of the twins get punched and his head like kind of clips back and snaps a bit weird, and most game developers would never put this out because they'd be so scared that people would not buy their game because, oh, they've shown something bad like a glitch in the trailer. So they put out some amazingly polished section of the game that does not represent the final game, obviously. But I think in this case, in Cyberpunk 2077's case, a final look of the game and performance of the game will be better than what we're seeing here. I know a lot of people probably don't trust game developers in general, and definitely not CD Projekt Red. Well, not definitely not, but I feel like they don't trust game developers in general, so they project that onto every single game developer. But personally, I do trust these guys because it's the only game that I've ever had this happen. Going off on a little side note here, but when I first bought The Witcher 3 ages ago, I opened the case and, you know, normally you get a guide, maybe you'll get a map, a CD. In this box it was just the normal Witcher 3 that I purchased. I got a music disc, or a music CD with all of the tracks on it. I got the gameplay disc, obviously. I got a map. I got the little guidebook, and I got a little note with it, and I was like, oh, what's this note? And it was just a note saying, from CD Projekt Red, just saying, thank you for buying our game, hope you enjoy it. It was more detailed than that, but it was along those lines. And it was cool to see, because it was almost like I wasn't paying to receive a service from this company. I was paying game developers to play their game, and they were like, oh, thank you, we hope you enjoy it, we made it for you. It was almost like it was a personalised experience, and they were just as happy to have me play it as I was to play it myself, which really made me respect them as game developers. Now next, I want to talk about something that one of my friends said regarding the gameplay trailer. He said the gameplay trailer looked next gen in some parts, but like an old game in other parts. Now I wanted to kind of give my opinions on what next gen is and what it means, because I feel like a lot of people think next gen just means everything's going to be better, but all next gen really is better graphics, better lighting, less loading screens, almost none is what quite a few games are saying, and faster processing in general. But what next gen doesn't mean is everything's going to be improved, because next gen doesn't mean that the combat's going to be any better or the AI is going to be any better, because while they are related slightly, it's not obviously massively related. Like, for example, if you look at Mortal Kombat as a fighting game, say Mortal Kombat 10 years ago, I've played Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe, and Mortal Kombat 11, obviously, one of the latest ones. If you look at them, the combat is quite similar. Two people standing side by side, punching each other. It hasn't changed at all, really. You've got the leg sweeps, you've got the uppercuts, you've got the jumping, flying kicks, pretty much all the same moves. Obviously they've changed the visuals of it, but that's the main thing about the different console generations and the different PC improvements. It's not gonna change the gameplay much, but the graphics are the thing that is jumping the most. That brings me on to my final point. Don't set your expectations too high. My expectations are quite high for the game. I know what I'm getting myself in for. I'm not expecting a perfect game. I'm not expecting everything to be amazing. I know that combat probably won't be the greatest that you've ever seen. I know that the shooting, probably not Call of Duty standard. But I know that the story, the characters, the visuals, and hopefully the music, if The Witcher 3 is anything to go off, are all going to be very good. But notice how I didn't say brilliant or flawless or amazing. I said very good, because you gotta lower your expectations when you go into things like this, because if your expectations are low, then anything above that you're going to be impressed. I know it's hard to kind of unhype yourself, but you can be excited for a game, don't get me wrong, but you gotta go in with a level head. And that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be bringing you, like I said, a lot more Cyberpunk content, so don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're just as excited about the game as I am, and I will see you in the next video.